Welcome to the podcast Life After Addiction and Indictment. I'm your host, Steve Cloward, and I spent most of the last decade and well over $100,000 on coaches, consultants, masterminds, and events trying to figure out how to reclaim my life again. On this podcast, I'm going to share the tools, the tips, the tricks, and the hacks that allowed me to forgive myself so that I could reclaim my life again. I'll be interviewing experts in mindset, leadership, entrepreneurship, sales, marketing, branding, and so much more. I'm glad you're here. Sit back and relax and enjoy the show.
Let's go! This is Life After Addiction and Indictment.
Hey, appreciate y'all being here to listen to the show today. This is Steve Cloward, your host of Life After Addiction and Indictment. Today is going to be a little bit different, and because I'm a little bit passionate and fired up at the moment, and I'm going to tell you why. But I want you to make sure you take it in context, and hopefully you can learn the lessons that I was just very blessed to learn from my grandfather, which I've talked about on previous podcasts. The two core things that he had taught me, which I've mentioned, are always make sure you provide the best customer service possible. And on top of that, make sure that every one of your people, no matter whether it's the janitor cleaning your office or anyone in between, make sure they understand that they are appreciated and they, are valued, because it doesn't matter what business you own. It doesn't matter how many employees you have. You cannot be successful. Now, of course, as a solopreneur, there's lots of different things out there. You can be a solopreneur and be successful, but I'm talking from a small business standpoint or above. You must provide good customer service. And I just got a phone call because I've been very frustrated with an investment that I made a year ago. In fact, a year ago next month. And it was a fairly sizable investment. Multiple 5 figures was invested. And I've been very frustrated by, number one, when you invest the amount of money that I did, I'm just going to tell you what it is, $40,000. You would hope and believe that the person and business you invested with would show that you're a customer of theirs, that you're appreciated, and make sure that everything was going well, because they outsource their work to a third party. And in this particular investment, it is an investment in ecom stores. This one, I've got a few, but this one is an Amazon store. And the frustration comes because after investing $40,000 and then getting the information emailed to you from the third party about what they need to get everything set up, et cetera, there has been no communication ever from the person that received the $40,000, of which a salesperson made around $8,000, I believe. And when I was frustrated about 4 months in, I texted the sales guy. And he responded at that point. But about a month later, or maybe 2, I reached out again and have 2 other times since. And it's been crickets, because the way they operate, which is what they're showing how they operate, is, their third party who does all the back end work, which I get, that's pretty typical. But I'll tell you what, you better damn sure make your third party that's representing you and the people that invested with you is doing a damn good job. And if not, bottom line, it all rolls uphill, because the accountability and ownership that I live by is called extreme ownership. It's a phenomenal book. If you haven't read it, you need to. Because it doesn't matter in my business or anyone else's, and I'm going to tell you a story about my business as well and how I handled it. And not to toot my horn, but because I have the core values that my grandfather taught me in business, and I value my people. Anyway, so I have dealt with this third party on multiple occasions. I started documented every time I spoke to them in early February. And on March 7th, some situations happened where I communicated enough that they decided, yeah, he's got some legitimate issues. So let's shift him to a different team that manages everything. And we're also going to shift the products we're selling from other suppliers because they were having some issues. He said it'd take a couple of weeks. Now, okay, so I'm fine. He told me things I needed to do, which was set up 5 accounts from these different suppliers because this is a drop shipping model. And I said, no problem. I'll do that by tonight, which I did. And about a week and a half later, I reached out because one of the suppliers, or vendors does not take American Express. And this happened to be Costco. And I do all my business through my Amex. I don't have a Visa or MasterCard currently. I do a couple small ones through my bank, but I don't have any that have the credit lines or unlimited like my Amex accounts to be able to scale an ecom store the way you need to really make some money. And so I reached out and let him know that, never heard anything from him. Reached out and let him know a few days later, never heard anything. And I was really frustrated again last week, reached out, and he then said, oh, well, we need to make sure you get these stores set up and you need to add them to this doc. And I was like, what in the hell are you talking about? I did that the same day you told me to. And while we were on message texting back and forth, I pulled up my Google Doc that they shared with me, pulled it up, all the information's there. Let him know that. Well, so last week I reached out and said, hey, what's the deal? We're pushing into middle 3 weeks out. You said it'd be a couple. What is the situation? And didn't hear anything. I'm pulling up the text now because I just got full of their people, and I didn't hear anything. And so I finally heard back last night, and I didn't see it until I actually woke up and couldn't sleep for some reason. And at 12:20, I saw this. And now understand, this is one of the managers at this third party who probably the main manager. And so he and I have been communicating back and forth, right? And I get a response last night, 9 o'clock. Steve, unfortunately, we aren't responding through our cell phones anymore. Regarding store updates, please reach out to our customer service line and schedule a call. Thank you. Now, knowing the history that he's been engaged with me personally back and forth on text, how do you think that made me feel when I got a text saying that? I was basically like giving me the bird. So I did respond. I responded at 12:22 a.m. And I said, well, it'd be nice if the email with updates provided that information. We're the customer. If you're changing how you're doing things, all you got to do is let us know. But after we've been engaged one-to-one, you're handling it, you're telling me what's going on. I've reached out to you, you've responded, not always quickly. And then you just basically tell me that. Why wouldn't you let your people know proactively? Or in this case, because of the way he and I have been dealing with this situation, and frankly, I have been very frustrated over the last 6-7 months, you would think he would be wise enough to handle it different anyway. Now, I don't expect any special treatment. I don't expect anyone to kiss my ass. And frankly, I don't enjoy, going back at people when I'm frustrated or unhappy because the service sucks ass. I don't enjoy that at all. But I'm also not going to continue to enable that behavior by not speaking up. For hell's sakes, I did invest $40,000. So I then went on to say, because I was a little fired up, horrible service, man. I get making a change, but you should let the clients know proactively, and you should finish communicating on the issue you had already been dealing with for almost a month with me, or if it was anyone else. And anyway, I'm not going to get into it. Basically, he says, once again, he doesn't own anything. He says, I understand your frustration, but we have sent multiple emails, including the customer service number and customer service email. We had left off on you creating additional supplier Costco business exec. That's horse shit, folks, because I checked the emails. I didn't get any. I got the customer service one. I told him that because I knew that that came. I let him know because I was unhappy that that's how he thinks it should have been handled. So, and then he talks about this Costco issue, which I'd already addressed multiple times, that there's a problem because I don't have a card to put on that account to make the purchases if you sell. So then he's bringing that up again. So he says, I'll speak with your product team and follow up an update for you tomorrow. Well, it is 3:35 currently on April 1st, which is my wife's birthday. And I was supposed to be gone about 40 minutes ago, taking her to Park City overnight, or Salt Lake City. Going to go to Park City, we changed. And I'm here doing this podcast. It's important that I stay consistent and it has to be done. So anyways, I just got off the phone with this third party, and the gal that's handled it, she's dealt with me one time before. She is phenomenal. And if anyone is listening to this that knows the companies I'm talking about, you need to make sure, damn sure, that Marissa is taken care of, because you have somebody that's phenomenal. She's the type of person I would hire all day, every day, and never, ever let her go. So folks, you can sense where I'm at, the frustration I've had, and why I've had it, because I value customers, and I'm hyper focused on the service they get from any of my companies, period, and always have been. You know, when my dad had his full service car wash and was absentee owner, I dropped out of college, which I've mentioned on podcasts way earlier. You know, I had a great mentor, my grandfather. And this car wash sucked my dad dry, basically, because absentee ownership. But once I started focusing on the two little things, doing a fantastic job, treating our customers like gold, and making sure the employees knew on those winter days, especially when we'd pump 700 cars out, it's cold as all hell, but the streets are dry, cars are nasty, and you're just going all day long. Everybody knew at the end of that day, because I was throwing cash all over anytime that happened. And in between, they always knew they were appreciated. So this isn't about me, though. It's about, frankly, I think it's about my grandfather because of what he taught me. But it's about customer service. It's about doing the right thing. It's about valuing your customer. The fact that I have given a company $40,000 and they haven't reached out to me one time, that chaps my ass so bad I can't even tell you. And the kid running this company is a young kid. He might be 30 now, maybe. And I hate to say this, but I guarantee you, he's going to learn some lessons, and he's going to get some bumps and some bruises, probably sooner than later, because that's not how you do business. If you're going to outsource your stuff to a third party, fantastic. I'm all for that. But like I said earlier, you better be damn sure that they are representing you and doing right, because that's exactly what they're doing, is representing you. They've set it up to where the email to onboard you comes from them about what to do, et cetera, as if they're the business. That's horrible. Now, one quick story, and I got to get out of here. I have a new vendor that we had set up with, and I have a great affiliate who does a lot of sales. And their first week, they did 40 sales. They were owed around $50-some-odd. And the new vendor, they play like, they set things up. You get paid like clockwork every Friday. Well, we started the cells that get installed cut off on Mondays each week, and then you're paid that very next Friday. So 4 days later. And we only had like 4 installs because we started like on a Thursday. So there was like a few cells that installed by that Monday. Well, that Friday, we didn't get payment. I frankly didn't even think about it because I wasn't paying attention because I knew it was hardly anything, if at all. Well, I then always run reports on Tuesdays when they have them available to show the account so that I can have my VA set up the commission report on a Google Doc to all my affiliates to show their projected accounts paying, so they see the customer name, et cetera, and the amount they can expect to be paid. Well, last Friday, when I was supposed to get this payment, and it's almost $10,000, of which I owe these guys like 50. Between two guys, it was just about $5,800, something like that. But anyway, it didn't come. And I have someone that I've become friends with that works at this big company. And that's who I reached out to. Long story short, because of all the big corporate bureaucracy BS, he pushed, raised hell. And I did get that payment yesterday, which was Thursday, because I told him if they just kind of ignore it and think it's fine, we'll just give it to them next Friday with the additional payment that's owed that Friday. I told them that will not fly, because at the time I had just put out a bunch of money and my cash flow was way low. So this new affiliate is my priority. So I was not going to let him know, oh, sorry, they screwed up and I'll get you paid when I get paid. That's not the way it works, folks. I wish it was, because it created a big problem for me that I had to solve. So I had to go come up with the money, which I did. And it wasn't easy, and it's whether it's the bank, whether it's a friend, whoever, whether it's a credit card advance, whatever it is, it's a hassle. So I got the funds, sent out the wire to those guys, because I want them to know that I care, especially, I'd still do it the same way if they'd been with me for a while, but this was the first commission they were going to get sent, they were owed from me. So it's important that I make it happen, which I did. So now here we are, Friday, April 1st, supposed to get another payment now from the same vendor, and it didn't show up. And this affiliate is owed like another $2,800. So I could just blow it off, not communicate, and deal with it when I get the money. I've already got the ball rolling, and talked to my buddy, of course, and he was embarrassed as hell, but in all his years, he said he's never seen it happen. I believe it, because it's pretty rare. These big companies, once you're in the system, it's like clockwork the way they have everything set up. You might miss some accounts getting paid, but you certainly get paid. They might just have a problem, where something wasn't triggered based on an install date or something like that, but that's it. So I give you those 2 examples so that whether you're starting out in business and just getting started as a solopreneur or not, you need to treat every customer like they're the only customer. Because the best new customer comes from an existing customer. Referrals are the best way to get more customers. That's how we finally turned around my dad's car wash and built it up, because we started to do such a great job. People knew we did. And frankly, we were not the best laid out facility, because 700 cars was a ton in the facility that we had. We had sold one of our other ones, and this one was kind of a hybrid, and it didn't really have the space to do big volume, and it had a very short tunnel, 80 feet. That's a very short tunnel. But we did everything we had to. So no matter what business you're in, or if you're looking to just get started, and that's going to be the next episode topic, is how to get in business quickly and some ideas of what you can do. I'm going to throw that out to help those, because we're in a difficult time in our country, and especially the world, frankly, with what's going on. It's crazy and it's pathetic, frankly. And so I'm going to hit on that. But folks, if you have those two core values, I don't care what evolves and how business changes and how much more gets automated, et cetera, those two core principles will never change. You must value your customers. Customer service must be number one. And then as you get employees, you got to make damn sure that they know how valuable they are. Of course, they have to be doing their job and be good and all that, because if not, you got to make the tough decision and get rid of them, because energy and culture is everything. So I hope y'all have a fantastic day. I look forward to next week. I'll be talking, like I said, about some ways that you can get started in business relatively cheap. And in fact, I'll just hit on it kind of as a teaser for next week, because I had done something back in 2004-06 for fun, but it was because I was passionate about something. I created a nonprofit called Bands for Freedom Foundation to donate funds to our military men, women, and their families for the sacrifices they made for the freedoms that we have. And we were able to donate $255,000 in like 16 months time off of the sale of a $1 camouflage wristband that I still wear to this day. It says freedom on it. We had some great partners. And anyway, I'm not going to give the details of that. Well, I've been very frustrated with what's going on in the world. I have another podcast called Truth Talk with Steve. You can check that out if you're interested. Talk about a lot of the truths that are hidden from us and the truths behind a lot of the things that have gone on that fake news is telling us is different than what the truth is. They're a captured operation, period. And that's getting exposed, and that truth is showing now. And for those that have thought I was a conspiracy theorist, etc., it's obvious that I'm not now, because the truth is even coming through mainstream slowly. So I have a buddy who's been on that show a few times, David Summerall, and he's got a great website, stophate.com. He's a great investigative journalist. He's really dug into the J6 situation. So because I've been through federal prison, I know what it's like. I know how screwed it is. Well, these J6 prisoners got screwed worse definitely than I experienced. And they're totally being treated like horribly. I mean, if you haven't heard about that, you need to understand how horribly they're getting treated. I mean, it's not even humane, most of them. So I decided I was going to start something, and I did, called Official Freedom Gear. So check out officialfreedomgear.com. And every purchase, I'm going to be donated 50% of the profit to support J6 prisoners and their families in need, to help fight for their freedoms through their legal costs, private investigators, etc. So we'll be documenting that as that takes place. But to set up a Shopify store and do it the way I've done it, I'll give you the details how to do it and how simple and how inexpensive it is to start if you do it the right way. Take care. Appreciate you listening. If there's anything of value here on this podcast, I would really appreciate it if not only would you share it, but you would give it a 5-star review. Now that review is the important thing, meaning not just clicking 5 stars and belling, writing something. But it doesn't matter if you just write one word. You just need to write something, because that's how the algorithm evidently works to kind of suggest your podcast to people that are listening to other similar stuff. That'll help other guests that are on my show get exposure more as well. So take care. Have a fantastic weekend. Be safe, and God bless.